Now, the local government elections race is heating up. We focus now on the importance of branding. Now, Action SA is heading to court over how the Independent Electoral Commission portrayed it on the ballot paper. The party is accusing the IEC of only using its logo, leaving out the name of the party. Brand and reputation management expert Moeng joins us now to talk about why branding matters. Mr. Moeng, good to have you with us on the Daytime Update today. So talk to us about what we mean when we use the word branding. What aspects of one's persona or being are actually characterized or categorized under branding?
Good afternoon, Tammy, and to the audience out there. Well, branding is very important in politics, in all sectors. In politics, branding is there's a set of messages that you repeat consistently so that people get to associate with those messages. But they also come. So branding. Think about an iceberg. There's the submerged part of the iceberg, which is where your messaging, the values, the raison d'etre of your value sit, the pillars upon which your brand stand, and you have the colors, the logos that also that constitute the visible part of the iceberg, and those are the things that you bandy about all the time. Those are the things that they create recognition in the audiences that you want to target your brand messaging to. So it's important that there's consistency in those things. Once somebody takes away any element of that image, as the IEC is accused of having done with the Action SA, it hurts the recognizability, I don't know if you can say, of Action SA logo. So it's important that I think they're doing the right thing to say to the IEC, you can't mess up with our brand.
Well, Mr. Moeng, just before we continue with our conversation, just a note for our viewers at home. As you can see on the screen, Numsa has actually handed over that memorandum of understanding. We see Irvington there standing next to the company owners.
Amansa! Amansa! Eva Numsa Viva! Gordon, where are you? Gordon, speak for Saifa.
Thank you, Mr. Jim. We too have heard your demands. We've taken note of your anger.
Comrades, can we listen to Gordon to say what you want to say?
Thank you, Mr. Jim. We too have received your demands. We've noted your anger, and we too remain committed to taking your demands back, seriously considering them, and working towards finding an agreement as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, comrades. We have reached the end.
The memorandum has been handed over, and I guess an acknowledgement thereof, and from leadership saying that they will indeed, the management there saying that they will acknowledge those demands that have been put on paper, but the Numsa engineering sector workers there, a sea of individuals on the streets of Johannesburg, and that's the picture that you're seeing now. There is a similar picture taking place in Durban, where scores of engineering workers in the sector have gathered. The memorandum now having been handed over. We come back to you, Mr. Mule, as we continue our discussion on the importance and the power of branding. Just before we went off and branched off back to Numsa, you were talking about the importance of being recognizable on the particular ballot paper, specifically during this period. Does Action SA in this particular instance have a leg to stand on? Do they have a case? Does their full presence on the ballot paper affect them in any way?
Yes, absolutely, it does. Look, you must remember that we have a big number of political parties contesting elections. I think more than 200, whatever it is. It's a huge number. So if you contest in one color or with one look, with one logo, and then you are represented by a totally different logo or by one that is amended on the ballot paper, a lot of people are going to be misled. They're going to be fooled. They're going to miss you because they make an awareness and a recognition of what you look like in your campaigning, in your everyday messaging, stakeholder engagement. Suddenly, they see something on the ballot paper that doesn't look like what they're used to seeing. Of course they're going to get confused. And this is why it's important for brands to be really, really careful and to be mindful and jealously guard their brands and make sure that whatever is represented on the ballot paper is exactly what they have been promoting all along, coming towards the elections.
Let's look at election posters for a moment. How effective are they really? We are seeing during this particular round of emotions, no ANC posters. Would this likely affect them in any way?
Well, the ANC is known. I mean, the ANC is the Makulu bars of South African politics. When people go to the election, it's been there for 27 years. So it has gained over time brand recognition. Whether people like it or not is a different matter. People know what the ANC looks like. So it has less to fear than parties which were formed in recent months, in recent years, because they still need to be distinguished and to gain that level of automatic recognition by the audiences they're targeting.
And what impact can branding have on voters?
Well, look, a lot of people in elections have already decided whom to vote for. Few people are going to make a decision once they get into the ballot paper. So branding is important in the journey leading towards the elections. It's all about what you want to be known for, what you want to be associated with, of course, what you're promising to the voters, and the extent to which what you're saying to them it speaks to their hearts, to what they really, to their expectations, to their fears. And if you can do that, you are creating a set of elements, including messaging, colors, the way you speak, all of those things sit together in the mind space of the voter to say, I feel good with this brand. I feel good. And the colors do matter. I feel good with the colors. I feel good with the messaging. I feel good with the logo. Over time of repetition, people get used to it and they embrace the logo for what it is. So it does matter.
During times like this, when a multiple number of parties as well as independent candidates are vying for the same pool, the same market, which is the voter, how can one party distinguish itself from another, especially because a lot of the messaging seems to be quite similar. A lot of the promises that are being made to the voters seem to be quite similar because voters really want a few very distinct things.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be quite interesting and confusing for a lot of people because, as you say, given the number of parties that are going to be on the ballot paper or on the 1st of November, a lot of people are going to be confused. But you must remember that there's an element of familiarity. When people get to see and hear a party or party leader or party representative speak over and over again, they create that element of recognizability, allow me, with them, and they will vote for them if they feel good about what they're hearing. But you must remember that parties that have not been there forever will struggle because they don't, first of all, many of them don't have the resources to increase their footprints around the country. So they will end up being located to small localities.
And the importance of social media during this time and how that particular messaging needs to be slanted or positioned?
Yeah, look, all political parties, all communicators really, whether it's politics in corporate world or elsewhere, need to know whom their messages are targeted at. They also need to know, do the people that we want to target use social media platforms? If yes, which social media platforms? So there's a lot of work that needs to go into that because you can't just, the era of all message, one blasting message for everybody is over. You need to be clear about which people you're speaking to, what platforms they consume or they use, they get news from, and how to interact with those people on those platforms. And if you have the resources and the skills and the team that is able to work social media platforms, you can get a lot from it. But if you don't, if you think that we're still in the era of just spreading blasting messages and hoping that some fish will catch it out there, you're probably not going to do as well as you think you would.
That ship has sailed, as you say, Mr. Moeng. Thank you very much for your time. He is a branding and a marketing expert there, as we focus on what really was brought about by Action SA. They are discontent because they are not represented in their entirety on the ballot papers, an issue that they are taking to the courts.